everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my March favorites. We are going to be talking about all the products I was loving throughout the month of March. I really am trying to keep up with this series. My favorite videos are my favorite videos to film on my channel, and so I apologize if I'm not able to consistently post every single month, but I do try, and when I can, I definitely will. So without further ado, this is a pretty straightforward video. If you guys want to see all the products I was loving throughout the month of March, don't forget to please subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so you know when I post, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get on into it. I need to give a shout out to this again, and I say again because I bought this like 3 years ago, and a subscriber kindly pointed out like, hey, I think yours might be expired. And I had mentioned in a video that honestly, I will keep using it and use at your own risk, proceed at my own risk. I'm not advising it. I don't particularly smell anything. I haven't had an adverse reaction, but just because that's the case for my skin doesn't mean that it will be the case for yours. So please exercise caution. But regardless, taking away the fact that whether or not this is expired, this is such a great product. This is the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. This is a cult favorite primer. I feel like it rocked the industry when it came out like 3 years ago at this point. And you can see I still have a bunch left. I mean, this is an expensive primer. It is a high-end primer that you can find at Sephora. I believe it's like upwards of $30, but you can get a smaller version for like 15 bucks, I believe. I know I did a whole dupe video on this versus the e.l.f. Mint Melt Primer. I will link that video below. And while I think that primer is awesome, I don't know if that was limited edition, but if you want something that really just allows your makeup to stay in place and adhere to your skin all day, especially as we're getting into the warmer weather, this is really the primer to do so. It comes out like a jelly formula, as you can see right here. As it dries down, it starts to become tacky and sticky, and that's exactly what you want because it will grip, you know, your makeup into place. And I will try to link below a couple of corresponding videos where I use this primer specifically on like long wear makeup tutorials or get ready with me's. So definitely check that out. But this is such a good primer. I've been wearing it pretty much every single time I've put on makeup in March. This is the primer that I use. And even in Hawaii, I got like a smaller, like mini size version. I think it came in like a sample kind of kit or something. And I took that with me to Hawaii because I was like, I love this so much. And it was obviously the perfect primer for that weather because Hawaii is obviously pretty hot and humid. And like I said, as we're getting into the warmer months where we're sweating all the time, this is going to be your best friend. Speaking of complexion products, I want to give a shout out to this. This is the LA Girl Pro Color Foundation Mixing Pigment. I have the white version as well. LA Girl also makes like a yellow orange version to make your foundations warmer. They make a couple different mixing pigments. This is great because this is a blue pigment, so it's going to really help counteract like the warmth of your foundation. So for example, if you buy foundation online that's too yellow or it comes out in person and you put it on and it's too warm for the rest of your body, which happens to me so often now, which oftentimes now I tend to buy like a cooler tone foundation if I'm debating, because I know that on my face alone it looks great, but compared to the rest of my body, for some reason, my face tends to always look warmer, and I feel like that's a universal thing. This really helps with that, especially when I use it with something like the Juvia's Place Magic Foundation. This is in the shade Giza 540. This is a beautiful full coverage foundation. I wore it to my friends' weddings. I love this as a glam foundation. It's a thicker foundation, and this shade in particular is very yellow based, but this was the most viable option for me because the shade below that was a little bit too gray for me. So I was like, oh, I have like a blue pigment. I can just mix it with this and it comes out so beautifully. You can be as generous with this as you want. Like, honestly, it is arbitrary, right? Like there's no particular science like, oh, you need to do 1.5 pumps to yield the perfect skin tone match. But I find that when I do like 1 to 2 pumps, depending on how warm my current foundation is, this is just gonna help with the pigment itself being cooled down because it is a blue pigment. This is beautiful. It does not show up as blue streaks on your face. Even with me, I am not somebody who mixes my foundation before I put it on my face. I literally mix it on my face just because I'm like lazy and I don't want to like wipe it off my hands. I will literally apply the foundation on the brush and then do 1 to 2 pumps of this, dot it on my face, and then just buff it in, and it blends out beautifully. You cannot tell there's like blue in there anywhere. It just really evens out to a nice, beautiful, even tone. So I love this, highly recommend. Let's talk about a concealer. This is the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop Contour Concealer, and I have the shade Light Ivory. I love this concealer, and I have been wearing it because I'm in that weird transitionary period right now where sometimes my summer foundations are a little bit too dark for me. So I will just go on with that, and then if I don't mix it with anything, I'll just go in in with a lighter concealer and it helps even everything out. That's kind of what I did today. This in the shade Light Ivory is my most brightening concealer, and I love it for that reason. A little goes such a long way. As you can see right here, it's much lighter than I would buy, but I think this was the only shade they had available. But this formula is truly amazing. It's kind of reminds me of the Milani formula, the Milani Conceal and Perfect formula. It's a little bit on the pastier side. It's not super duper liquidy. It's not going to just blend into nothing. It's a little bit thicker, but it blends out beautifully. Do not let that scare you. It's not going to be something that dries down super quickly, that's super hard to blend out. This is very creamy, even though it is a little bit thicker in texture. But with that being said, the coverage is amazing. It covers my dark circles. Even if I use like another concealer underneath, and if I want a touch more brightness, I'll just literally put it right in the corners of my eyes and it just brightens up everything tremendously. So beautiful. Does not really crease on me. Obviously, I always set my cream products, my concealers, my foundations, but this is a fabulous concealer, and I would definitely buy more shades because this is the kind of concealer that I could also see myself using to spot correct as well for like acne, hyperpigmentation, etc. Okay, speaking of cream products, the Rare Beauty Always Sunny Bronzer Stick. This I feel like is always sold out. Rare Beauty is just one of those brands that you know the majority of those products are going to be like absolutely phenomenal. Her blushes, everything. This bronzer stick is relatively new. Looks like this. It's a cream bronzer. I know cream bronzers are all the rage these days, but I love this shade because it just is so creamy. And sometimes I know when you blend out cream products on top of foundation, it can move the foundation around. It becomes patchy. Not this. You can blend this out so easily, so effortlessly, and it doesn't disappear into the skin. I tend to prefer blending out my like cream blush and bronzers with a brush, but honestly, this is just, in my opinion, like a foolproof bronzer. Like you just swipe it on your face and you buff it in. It blends out beautifully. It leaves a nice sheer warmth on your skin. It doesn't look heavy, it doesn't look cakey, it doesn't look unnatural, it just looks like your skin, and I absolutely love it. Rare Beauty is such a good brand. Definitely get your hands on this stick. It's one of my favorite bronzer sticks I've ever tried, and I would definitely recommend it. Keeping with the whole bronzer theme, this palette has been like my everything this month, and I've had this for a while. I did a whole bronzer collection last year. I will link that video down below for your viewing pleasure as well. It's a bronzer I've been putting on my face, like the powder bronzer that is, if I'm not going in with this. These are pretty much the only two bronzers that I've been using in March, honestly. This is amazing. It's a bronzer I have on my face today, and I can even use it as eyeshadow. This is the Ace Beauty Bronze in Paradise palette, and there's something about Ace Beauty shadows that is just so phenomenal. They're so creamy, they're so pigmented, and there can be a little bit of fallout, not on these bronzers, but on their eyeshadows there can be. But I just love that you have a whole array of powders, and I know you might be looking at this and be like, I have one skin tone, why do I need 4 shades? Because you can use this as eyeshadow as well, and I do that so often if I just want to do a one and done look. But typically for my bronzer, I will mix these 2 shades, and it just makes me look, as a bronzer I have on today, it makes me look so warm and so tan, and it just blends out so effortlessly. I will swatch them for you right now. They're so pigmented, they're so creamy, and they just give you the most beautiful wash of color to your face. They never look blotchy when you blend it out. I feel like my bronzer looks pretty seamless right now, if I do say so myself. And it's this powder. Honestly, you can use whatever brush I feel with these powders, and it looks nice. I don't know, maybe that's just me in my head, but definitely if you can get your hands on this and you are looking for a good bronzer palette that can also double as eyeshadow, definitely get this. For my eyeshadow, honestly, all I'll do is just throw this shade in my crease and then maybe this as like liner on my upper lash line and lower lash line, and it's just like a perfect everyday going to the office, stepping out for lunch, quick look that you can do in literally a minute. Speaking of palettes that I've rediscovered, this is the Too Faced Sugar Peach Wet and Dry Face and Eye Palette. I don't know if this is still available, but I still want to talk about it. These are the blushes I have on my face right now. I mix them together. They're so beautiful. They just, I feel like tie everything together. It just makes you look more awake, more flushed. And yes, this one does have a little bit of glitter, but all you need to do is tap it off. But the colors are so unique. Like you get this really pretty, like pigmented peach shade. You get this really pretty, like iridescent pink shade right there. And then these highlighters are absolutely freaking amazing. Sorry, I'm like running out of room to swatch. But it's what I have on my cheeks. Obviously I mix them, and then on my collarbones as well, and on my shoulders. They say this is a wet and dry palette, so you can use this wet, but I honestly never do. I just use this dry, and I find that the impact is very metallic. The only thing I would say is that I don't know if I would travel with this because the powders, they're a little bit delicate in my opinion. There's a lot of kickback. They're very soft powder, which leads me to believe that they might crumble pretty easily. But you can see right here, there's a lot of like product that gets on the packaging when you like tap it off and put your brush in. So just beware of that. But with that being said, they're so pigmented, so creamy, and they give you the most beautiful payoff. Like, I am obsessed with this blush, this peach situation. I think it's just so flattering for this time of year. Let's talk about another palette. Some of these are new products, but this is an older product. But Morphe bigger, like 35 pan palettes are actually pretty good in my experience. I've had this for a while now. I want to buy a few more of their other varieties, like the one with like the bright blues. But this is such a pretty palette. This is the Boss Mood palette, the 35M Boss Mood palette. I'm obviously wearing these greens on my eyes today, but if I just swatch a few of these shades for you, they're so creamy. The mattes are really, really beautiful. The shimmers, I find that you do have to like work a little bit with. They're not the most punchy shimmer metallics ever, but the mattes are beautiful. They blend out really seamlessly. You can do any kind of look with this. And even if I don't want to do obviously a very colorful look, I can just stick with the browns. And it's funny, this pen actually fell out like a couple years ago, and my friend and I joke because it's like her favorite brown ever, and she's not like an eyeshadow wearer, but she absolutely loves that brown. And for some reason it was the one that like came out and like fell, which was really, really sad. Anyway, but even, yeah, this is a beautiful transition shade right here. I just stay in this realm when I want to do like a neutral look. Regardless of what kind of look you want to do, obviously this might not be the best for traveling because it's really, really big, but you do get a lot of options. And in my experience, all the shadows have blended out pretty gosh darn well. And I've used pretty much every shadow in this palette with different looks in one way or another, but it's awesome. Day to night, smoky eye, fun vibe, whatever you're going for, this is a great palette. Okay, let's move on to, I think, my last like makeup-ish product. This is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Natural Finish Setting Spray. If I had to pick one standout product for the month that I want to just give a shout out to, it's this product right here. Consistently without fail, I have been using this setting spray. And I spoke about this in my Target haul when I hauled like a bunch of Target products like very unexpectedly for very, 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 very cheap. I will link that video below as well. I cannot express to you how amazing this setting spray is. And typically I am somebody who wants like a mattified look because I have oily skin, but this is the best of both worlds. Like, this does not mattify your skin. It gives you that natural finish, but it's not glowy. It just makes your face look set. It doesn't make it look dry. And even as you're wearing it throughout the day, it doesn't make you look oily, even though it's not a mattifying setting spray, if that makes sense. There is denatured alcohol in it, which is something that I don't love because it can break out my skin, but that ingredient is what makes your makeup stay on all day. I wore this to the Dua Lipa concert, and I was like on the floor and it was hot and my makeup still looked amazing at the end of the night. Like, I wear this all the time. I'm wearing this right now. It just makes your skin like just come back to life with all the powders that you put on it. When my powder is looking too much, which yes, it can look too much on me even as somebody with oily skin, this always saves the day and I love it. Okay, let's talk about a few skincare-esque products. I gotta give a shout out to the Paula's Choice Super Light Daily Wrinkle Defense Broad Spectrum SPF 30s SPF. You guys know I'm always trying to find the next best SPF. I love so many of them, but this one in particular is absolutely amazing. And I feel like I love all the ones I try, and I mentioned them in so many of my favorites videos, which is a good thing. I mean, I'm always on the hunt for a good SPF. And this is one that I had my eye on for a while, specifically because it's a mineral physical sunscreen, which I personally prefer. I prefer mineral sunscreens to chemical sunscreens because I feel like they don't irritate my skin as much, and because this is specifically for normal oily to combination skin. So this has antioxidants, it's a silky lotion that mattifies. I personally don't feel it to be extremely mattifying. I feel like the consistency is really nice. Like, it comes out like a little bit gray. I will say there's a little bit of that gray cast when you put it on your face, but it's so lightweight and silky that when you blend it into your skin, it doesn't like linger, if that makes sense. I just love the consistency of this lotion so much. It's not thick, it's not difficult to blend out whatsoever. The only con that I would say is, like, when I first put this on, it has a little bit of like an SPF scent. Like, you know, the SPF smell, like it has it. It's not huge, it's not super in your face, it's not something that will like linger on your skin and that you're gonna smell all day. I use it every single morning, and I'm happy to use it every single morning because, like I said, SPF in the morning just doubles as my moisturizer. So I put it on after my serums and I am good to go, and it's just so lightweight and it's just like a pleasant experience to apply. Another skincare item is this InnisFree Pore Clearing Toner. I love InnisFree. I am always buying InnisFree products. I actually just bought another InnisFree product in the Sephora VIB sale, which yes, I will be doing a haul, so stay tuned. This is the Pore Clearing Toner with volcanic clusters. I wanted a toner that would be a little bit more of an exfoliating toner. I use one toner that's like the Kylie Skin, just like a nice creamy soothing toner every other day, and then I'll use something like this that's a little bit more acidic, a little bit more nitty gritty every other day. But this is not a super like burning, stinging toner by any means. This has Juju volcanic clusters to help remove residual impurities, control excess oils, and it does, I believe, have some acids in it, but like I said, it's not stripping. It doesn't make your skin feel dry. I have noticed actually an improvement with my texture since I started using this product, and you have to shake it a little bit because you can see it's kind of like a foggy thing, but it's like the volcanic clusters, if you will, that I think give it that. It doesn't have a super strong scent. Like, yes, there is a scent, but it's not anything unpleasant in my opinion. It's not anything too strong. And what I also love about this is that it's alcohol free, which is my number one thing when it comes to skincare products. Like, it has to be denatured or like drying alcohol free, because that does not do my skin injustice. So this is a great toner, especially if you're looking for something that's more affordable on Sephora. I have two more products, one of which is an old favorite, but I have to give a shout out to this. This is the St. Moriz Tanning Mousse Dark. This was the first ever true self-tanner I bought, and I used to self-tan religiously like every weekend, like 2 summers ago, and this would be the self-tanner I use. I do like my Bondi Sands, but I think I like this one a little bit more. For some reason, I feel like the self-tanning odor of this has gone down significantly over time. Like, I don't smell it lingering on my skin when I apply this anymore, and I've used this a couple times. Obviously, this is from Hawaii. This tan is from Hawaii, but before I went, I applied this a couple times this month, and it never looks streaky on my skin. The way I self-tan is that in the morning, I shower at night, and then the next morning, I'll use a tanning mitt, and I will apply this to just bare skin. I don't have any extra moisturizer on. Like, I don't particularly exfoliate the night before, and then I'll leave it on for the entire workday, maybe 8 to 10 hours, and then at nighttime, when I take my nighttime shower, I go in the shower and I just wash my body with like a loofah or whatever it may be, just like normal, and it just gives you the most beautiful color, and it's very affordable. You can get it at Ulta. But yeah, I'm also always on the hunt, I feel like, for tanning mousses, but I don't buy like multiples of them. Like, I only have this and the Bondi Sands like tanning mousses because I don't go through them often enough. But yeah, it's a beautiful bronze, natural looking tan, not orange, not harsh. I love it. Last but not least, I want to give a shout out to a book. I went to Hawaii and I brought 2 books on the plane. I actually want to talk about both of them, but I don't have Love Hypothesis here. It's actually at my parents' house, but I read the Unhoneymooners on the way there, and then Love Hypothesis on the way back. I love romance novels. This is such a good read. It's very easy, very fast. The trope of this is basically haters to lovers, and I love that so much. And the trope of Love Hypothesis is like grumpy person meets like sunshine, happy, upbeat person, and they fall in love, obviously. I mean, that's not a spoiler. Literally, it's a romance book. But what I love particularly about the Unhoneymooners is the writing. The way that this is written is so fabulous. Like, I can't explain it. Like, Christina Lauren, I haven't read any of her other stuff, but I definitely want to, because it's just smart writing. And as somebody who is I don't want to say like a writer myself, but I am very much like, I work in marketing, and I consider writing and the English language to be kind of one of my strong suits, as weird as that might sound. But all that to say, I definitely appreciate the writing and the syntax and the diction in this book. It's so fun and so well paced and so thoughtful and so smart. And it's very funny. Like, I audibly laughed on the plane reading this book. So I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for a good romance book. All right, everybody, and that was it for my March favorites. I hope you guys enjoyed this roundup of beauty, lifestyle products. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite product from this month was, and I would love to check it out. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you in my next one. Mwah. Bye.